Dear Clarence, I have extensively studied over this recounting of ancient events in order to further understand the inner workings of our universe. The information you are about to read tells of the origins of many of the forces that bind our world together, such as the Force, Chakra, the Keyblade, and even those godlike powers you told me your friend Travis once was able to utilize in battle against the evil Lord Xykor. In fact, this book discusses Zykor's origin as well, along with how that Travis fellow found those powers of his. I suggest you use this book in order to learn the Force and help yourself become strong enough to face the wretched masked man you've been dealing with. Good luck, Sonny. I wish you luck in your future ventures and in your own studies of this text. Cheers! Professor Elvin Gadd.
Once upon a time, there was nothing. Pure emptiness. No matter, no space, no time. Nothing. All except for one entity who solely existed. This entity had no body, no physical being, just a consciousness existing. This conscious being floated around the nothingness, scared, afraid, bored, lonely. An infinite amount of time passed, and suddenly the entity took form. The being took the form of a slim man with grown-out shagged hair, a green shirt, burgundy pants, and a scruffed chin. The entity named himself Norville Rogers. Norville enjoyed this newfound power he had discovered. With limitless knowledge and limitless potential, he decided to test out this ability further. Norville stood in place and snapped his fingers. The result of this snap was a large showing of bright, beautiful hues and colors, shapes, waves, and light that spanned light years upon light years. What stood before Norville was a vast array of quasars, nebulas, galaxies, solar systems, stars, planets, asteroids, and black holes. The universe had been created. This event is known today as the Big Bang. While basking in the wonder he had just created, a single asteroid struck Norville's foot by surprise. As a result, the asteroid disintegrated, and all that was left behind were 6 colored stones. These stones would come to be known as the Infinity Stones. 6 stones that possessed powers of creation similar to Norville's once all 6 were unified, with each stone holding a different power. Norville played around in this universe he had created, exploring the infinite amount of planets and environments he had created. While on this venture, Norville forged a large gold-plated armored glove to hold the Infinity Stones, enabling them to be unified as one. This glove was known as the Infinity Gauntlet. Norville had found a suitable place to hold the gauntlet and hid it away. Afterwards, Norville visited a planet filled to the brim with many different plant-based ecosystems and decided to personally plant a tree himself, as he then proceeded to do so while also giving the tree some of his divine energy. He called it the God Tree, a tree so tall that its peak was just above the clouds. Billions of years had passed. Norville had obtained an even greater limitless knowledge over the course of his time past. But once again, Norville became lonely. Hoping to free himself from this lonesomeness, he decided to create a companion. Norville clenched his hand into a fist and flicked his wrist while opening his palm as a cloud of dust flew out from his hand. This dust began to accumulate and merge together, creating one unified shape. What emerged from the dust was a tall anthropomorphic Great Dane, with brown fur with black spots standing on his hind legs, donning golden rings around his wrist and neck, with clothes bearing triangular designs. The Great Dane then spoke aloud in slurred English and said,
"Hello, master. What should my name be?"
Norville responded,
Like, don't know, man. I've got it. Scoob!
Scoob then replied, saying,
I write that name, Master. Andrew. But what shall I call you?
Like, I don't know, man.
Norville said, confused.
I like to call myself Norville Rogers. Like, we're gonna be pals. We need to come up with a better name.
Well, your hair and beard are both raggy, so why don't I call you Raggy?
Shaggy? Zoink, Scoob! I like the sound of that. Norville Shaggy Rogers.
Yeah, Raggy.
Scoob laughed excitedly. With his newfound friend and companion Scoob, Shaggy set off once more, venturing around the universe as the two continued to bond together. As time continued, more molecules and more atoms began forming around the universe, with the first amoeba forming itself on a planet known as Earth. As time passed, Shaggy continued to form more beings himself. The first to be born was a man of dark complexion, with dark hair and brown eyes. Shaggy named this being Jdestroyah. Jdestroyah was an indifferent individual, seeing the world as very black and white, always choosing the neutral approach to any situation he was faced with. More time had passed, and Shaggy had created two more beings, two twins to be exact. The man was named Zykor, while the woman was named Kaguya. Zykor was born with an uptight attitude, with Kaguya taking inspiration from his often rash and obscene actions. Zykor was a tall man with spiky white hair, typically wearing a black and green gi. Kaguya similarly shared his white hair, with hers being long down her back, as she was normally seen with a long white dress on to match. It was clear to Shaggy early on that Zykor would manifest pure evil, being the embodiment of darkness deep within the universe, and did his best to keep close eyes on him in order to keep balance and to prevent future conflicts. Zykor would still cause trouble despite this, destroying multiple structures and nature environments that were luckily uninhabited by any life, but his thirst for destruction was worrying. Zykor remained close with his twin Kaguya, who seemed to keep to herself, only sharing information with him and picking up many of his mannerisms. The two twins often hung out at a certain location, specifically a stone temple overgrown by moss, known as the Origine Temple. When the two were inside the temple, they utilized the vast catacombs to allow their conversations to remain secretive, blocking anyone outside from hearing them. This also meant that whatever they did inside would also remain secretive, something they would soon take advantage of. Meanwhile, life began to flourish in a distant galaxy, with many of its solar systems and planets being populated by intelligent creatures. Notably, creatures known as the midichlorians, microscopic life forms which resided within the cells of all living organisms, creating a symbiotic relationship with their host in the process. Shaggy noticed that the flourishing of this life had created a kind of energy field that bonded the universe together. The midichlorians spoke directly with this energy field, which soon became known as the Force. Individuals with higher midichlorian count in their bloodstreams were noticeably able to physically control and feel the Force more so than others. Realizing there was both a light and dark side to the Force, separated by the emotions the user was undergoing when using the energy field's divine abilities, Shaggy tasked Jdestroyah, being a god of balance, with overseeing the specific galaxy the Force seemed to be most abundant in, as many religions such as the Jedi and Sith orders began to form. While tens of thousands of years passed with Jdestroyah watching over this galaxy, Zykor and Kaguya continued about their casual destruction of nature, still remaining under the general watch of Shaggy, while Scoob oversaw the rest of the universe. During Jdestroyah's ruling of the galaxy, he prevented the unbalancing of the Force by manipulating the midichlorians to create a human who would come to be known as Anakin Skywalker, a being with the highest midichlorian count in galactic history. Anakin would eventually bring balance to the Force once more. But the rest was short-lived. Only a couple hundred years later, the galaxy would fall under chaos due to a new Sith order led by an empress known as Darth Juris, who would eventually cause the destruction of the galaxy as the result of an extraordinarily powerful machine. Jdestroyah unwillingly had to sit and watch the destruction of the galaxy, knowing that the Force would remain balanced once everything was said and done. Sensing the massive loss of life, Shaggy immediately joined Jdestroyah to find out what had transpired. Jose proceeded to brief Shaggy on the necessary but sad destruction of this galaxy. Hearing this news, Shaggy felt sorrowful. He knew that life was something to cherish dearly, and that it was something that must remain protected. But he knew that the life living in that galaxy had inflicted their extinction upon themselves. Meanwhile, Xicor took advantage of his father's brief lack of supervision. By this point, life on Earth had advanced into the Cretaceous period, where dinosaurs and other large animals roamed freely, the only planet inhabiting life in the Milky Way galaxy. While Shaggy had briefly left to investigate the destruction of the distant galaxy Jose was looking after, Xicor and Kaguya, now alone standing outside the Origine Temple, began to converse.
Is it just me, Kaguya, or do you not understand Father's whole deal about preserving life? Why has he had Jose looking after that useless galaxy only populated by mere mortals?
Kaguya answered,
Well, big brother, I don't know. Perhaps he sees something special in them.
Xicor, now conflicted and angered, shouted,
But what's so special about these mere insects? These creatures he cares so much about are powerless in comparison to us. They should be bowing down at our feet, but instead they walk around brainlessly and eat each other for no reason.
Kaguya attempted to comfort her brother by saying,
Perhaps not all of these creatures are thoughtless. Maybe some of them are just as intelligent as us, if not greater.
This infuriated Xicor even more. He then proceeded to say,
More intelligent than us? Kaguya, we are literal gods! No mortal could possibly be stronger than either of us!
Kaguya attempted one last time to ease her brother.
If you're so unsure what to think about these creatures and life itself, why don't you go inspect some of it yourself?
Xicor paused for a moment, and then said,
Perhaps that is a good idea, dear sister. I shall do as you suggest.
Xicor then proceeded to leave the temple, and when searching for a planet to investigate, he soon decided to visit the planet called Earth, to see the life it inhabited for himself. While on this visit, Xicor walked up to a Tyrannosaurus and began to inspect its appearance and behavior. As Xicor stared at its 60 sharp teeth and small arms, the Tyrannosaurus bent down and bit Xicor on the shoulder. This had filled Xicor to the brim with pure and utter rage.
I'm too late! Hey, Xicor! What is this all about?
See there? This is what happens when your puny creatures disrespect a god!
I will not tolerate this destruction! If you attempt to pull this kind of stunt again, I'll end you myself. Life is the most precious thing of all, and I will not let you destroy something so sacred and valued!